Hello, everyone. Good morning, at least on the West Coast. We are starting bright and early. Thank you for tuning in to the second day of the Chicago conference and our first panel. I'm Monica Stephenson, and I am a gem dealer who frequently travels to East Africa. That's kind of where I tend to specialize. And I have a business model that sort of supports artisanal miners kind of in those mining communities. And a lot of my work centers around actually supporting women in the supply chain whenever possible. I'm also the president of the board of Ethical Metalsmiths, and I am also on the board of Women's Jewelry Association, as well as Gem Legacy. And in all of my work in all of these places, I'm often at the intersection of where women's rights in the supply chain or in a broader community come to the fore. So I was very honored to be asked to moderate this panel by Susan. She's obviously a powerhouse, and we've had some amazing discussions so far. And I'm extremely honored and thrilled to be joined by Abigail Sibanda and Billion Matambo. Sorry to hesitate a little bit. I haven't practiced that too much. I'd love to introduce our panelists all the way from Zimbabwe, who had to travel quite a number of kilometers to actually get good connectivity to join us. So we appreciate your joining us and being here and telling your story. Susan always prioritizes having the stories come directly from the people involved whenever possible. So we're so happy you're here. So Billy is the chairperson of the Marange Women's Alliance. Is it Marange? Marange.
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay. She's also a human rights defender. She's a paralegal, and she's a women's rights activist. She's also a comedian and the ever ready, the Energizer Bunny, as we discussed just a few minutes ago. She is also working with the Zimbabwe Diamond and Allied Workers Union as a senior officer. And she was born and raised in Marange, so she can speak to these issues. Abigail is the gender focal person for the Marange Women's Alliance, and she is a defender of women's rights. She holds many degrees in gender and policy and has extensive experiences in the community engagement for the last, I think, 6 years. I met her, she was at her role as a teacher of sociology at a secondary school, so she's also a teacher. And she is the vice chairperson of the Marange Development Trust and is from Marange. So so happy to have you here and speaking to these issues from such a place of authority. And then finally, we have Susan Wheeler, who needs no introduction, I think, at this point. So she is going to tell us a little bit about the origins of the Marange Women's Alliance, how this came together and how she connected with them. So Susan, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Abigail and Billy, for being here and joining us as panelists, and Monica for waking up so early as a moderator. It's almost been a year since I hosted the Diamond Symposium, Human Rights and Diamonds. And during that symposium, we had Dewa Mavinga from Human Rights Watch and Kimberly Process Civil Society come in and help with speaking and arranging topics. And with that, we ended up, we knew that we had to feature Marange because of the complexities and the human rights abuses that have been going on for so long in that area. And so we had Human Rights Watch. Dewa interviewed Billy, was one of the women that he interviewed. And at the time, we blurred faces, we covered up names, and we were very careful for security. But following that, so much had happened. And we really tried to reach out to engage people in the diamond industry. It'd been a long time when the diamond industry was not really talking to the jewelry industries. The jewelry industry didn't really understand about a lot of the human rights abuses that were happening in diamonds currently. So Billy and I stayed in touch. And we started to have phone calls. We would keep in touch with Human Rights Watch. I've facilitated calls with like US State Department. We got on the phone with embassies, and we would have phone calls and talk to people about what was happening. And what really was discussed, a lot of it was that people needed to know their own human rights. So we started talking about the Constitution, the Zimbabwe Constitution, the UN standards for human rights in business, and sharing everything that I saw that came across the news around diamonds, I would share. And so this sort of sharing and knowledge sharing and communication seemed to be at the core of things. And so Billy said, let's build a WhatsApp. We're going to build a WhatsApp of all of the women throughout Marange. And then we came in and I was like, we need structure to this. This isn't my thing. So we had help in building structure of an organization, a mission statement, a vision statement, all of the things that were really bringing everybody together. Billy built the WhatsApp, which is now over 50 people strong. Billy and Abigail would know the numbers, and sharing the human rights on this group and discussing the Constitution. And then Billy has done training as well for how to report incidents that are human rights abuses on the WhatsApp. And so really building this alliance in strength, I think, has been able to have a really cohesive group that has safety in numbers, that has communication to the jewelry industry. So we were talking about building rights and sharing this within the Marange Women's Alliance, which we were. And then I think Abigail and Billy are going to talk about the events, because by this summer, all of a sudden we were thinking, okay, Billy thought we need to have an event. And so they whipped it together. And almost, I think in a matter of 3 weeks, the cleanup was planned and ready to go. And the cost of some of these events, if you've worked, overseas and putting these things together, it ends up being a lot because you need transportation. There are a lot of things that go into the event planning, into the costs that I don't know and foresee, but it was put together. And then I did a GoFundMe. And the GoFundMe was really great to see because it went out to the jewelry industry, and there was support from so many people immediately for this event and for the Marange Women's Alliance. And it's not just that it's financial support with the GoFundMe, it's awareness, it's people wanting, and it's like everybody was rooting, for the Marange Women's Alliance. And that sort of liaison and that sort of communication of what is happening, and to see that the jewelers really want to chip in, to be a part of this, to hear about the updates, was really, I think, a really important part of the event. Not just what happened on the ground and then the subsequent event, but it really opened up the avenues for voices to be heard and for communication.
And what really strikes me about this story is that it is all about this kind of connection and communication. So over and over again, when I see progress on some we're obviously dealing with a lot of issues all over the world in the jewelry supply chain. But what I often see as the first step towards success is this idea of organizing and the idea of putting some structure around it. So I think Abigail will tell us more, but this is a community that's kind of scattered. Women don't always have access to technology, so like smartphones, things like that. And so the idea that you could actually link everyone who thinks that they're sort of like in isolation in their suffering, but actually to link them all is kind of like the first step. And I did ask in previous conversations, if there's no cost to the women to join, correct? They just have to have access to WhatsApp and they have to be a woman, and they have to just join the WhatsApp group, which I think is great. There's no fees, it's just solidarity. So I would love to hear from Abby about the challenges that are in this area that are this is impact in the community, particularly on women, that is primarily caused by the diamond mining in the region. So I'd love, Abigail, for you to kind of tell us a little bit more about the challenges the community is facing, why this is so important.
Okay. Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm so excited to be part of this panel. As a member of Marange Women's Alliance, I am happy to be able to share my perceptions about what is going on in and around Marange as a diamond mining area, and most of all, talking about women's issues and what women are experiencing every day. So I would like to take this opportunity to use what came out from the cleanup campaign that we held on September 5th in a place called Tenda Marketplace. That's where women met, because it's a place of convergence for people from different villages. Here we stay in clusters. So every cluster will have a common place where they meet and do marketing, vending, and so forth. And this place here is also known for where the miners, the artisanal miners, also come and interact with the community. And the locals, they go there to buy and sell their wares. And as such, those activities, they come with the packages. Challenges arise for women. Pleasures also arise for women. But we are looking at it with a gender lens. For a place that is a mining area, to say what is it that is happening now in Marange, which was not happening then, which is upsetting the lives of women. So if I look at it now, the place where we were, is a random segment, where people are just scattered all over. There are some small buildings, which here we call tuck shops. And these tuck shops, they are built by individuals who get maybe just a small piece of land to build, maybe from the traditional leadership. And previously, land was allocated by chiefs and headmen. And so when people get these places, they build and start doing activities. Now the activities that happen there start to include little grocery shops, vending stores, houses, and brothels. And where these activities start happening, there is sexual harassment that start to emerge. There is sex trafficking that start to emerge. There is gender-based violence. That's the issues that start to emerge around that area. And this also is not unique to that marketplace only. It spreads throughout the communities. And the cleanup campaign gave us an opportunity to hear the lived experiences of women in terms of those challenges. And, this is where buying and selling of diamonds also occurs. If you go there, you park your car by the side there, you will see some young men coming and asking you, "Mother, Toita say," that's to say, what can we do? I've got it. So they are practically telling you that they have the stones they want to sell to you. In the event a reaction comes, the police come randomly, and you are in that area, whether you are doing the buying and selling, whether you are getting about your own business, going to the grocery shops, like what we said, or visiting a relative, because those activities are happening there, you are also rounded up. That's what we call the reactions. when the police come, they don't choose. Whoever is there, you are rounded up, the searches happen, and you might be taken for detention. And during those detentions, again, there is harassment that goes on against women. And women really have to enjoy a lot of abuses that come with detention. You are taken to the barracks, or where we call the base. You go to the police base there, and you stay there the whole day. Whether you're on your period or not, they will keep you there for the greater part of the day. There is no bathroom. There is nothing to help you. There's no food. There's nothing. And you have to endure that. And also, the shelters there, they are being used for brothels. And women are subjected, you see. And you see that there are a lot of conflicts that arise at the end of the day amongst the community women because of those brothels. Sometimes you find that it has to do with, sorry?
I just wanted to lay a little bit of groundwork for people who aren't familiar with this area. So there is a large-scale diamond mine in this region. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and the large-scale diamond mine is actually partially owned, or there is a partial interest of the Zimbabwe government, correct?
Yes.
So I just want to lay the groundwork for people that these are traditional communities that have been sort of inundated with artisanal miners traveling to this region because there are diamonds that are found alluvially, correct?
Yes.
So there's a lot of, and that mining is illegal because the government has said so. Is that correct? Also?
Yes. That's
so this
correct.
is illegal artisanal mining happening. Not so much because that's due to kind of local laws and local issues. So the police are sort of in the pocket of, they are more beholden to the mine and the mine owners, correct, because there's actually a government connection. So I just wanted to lay that groundwork so that people understand that this is an influx of people coming to this region that are not from this community. And now in these villages and in the community, there's this commingling of this, of populations that are not normally from there. And then then the police are reacting. So there's a lot of conflict, it sounds like, and a lot of, there's just a lot of interaction with law enforcement, but the law enforcement is on the mine side, not necessarily on the community side. So is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I wanted to make sure if people aren't familiar why this is happening and what's going on. So I'll let you continue with your story.
Thank you for clarifying that, Monica. Yeah, it's very true that the hyperactivity that is coming to this area and the communities at large is because of the large-scale diamond mining operations that are happening within Chiazwa. So it's like there is a diamond rush where the artisanal miners come to this place, and the historical setup of the community has since changed. There's a lot of interaction from people from different provinces with different values. So the whole system has been upset like that. So the challenge is now the brunt of these disturbances, it falls on women. That's what I was explaining earlier on, to say women have to go there to fetch daily supplies and so on, because it's a settlement and it's a marketplace, and in the process they get entangled, right? And in the communities as well, the same is happening. All these issues, they emerged during the cleanup campaign. Where does this link with rights? We are saying the right of women to movement have been violated, because we are going to the shopping center just like any other woman, and we end up getting rounded up and you are arrested, then we have a problem. You are going out to fetch water as a woman, and in the process, you are said to be in a protected area. You should not be going this way, and you are rounded up. So the cleanup campaign gave us this platform to interact as women and say what those challenges that we are meeting are, and what rights, to learn the rights that have been violated. One key challenge that came during these discussions was environmental rights that have really been disturbed because of the mining activities.
Would you like me to show the photos at this time to illustrate some of those?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be helpful so that we understand how deep these issues are.
I'm going to share my screen. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Sorry. Hang on one second. Let's see. Share screen. Share. Can you see that?
Not yet, Monica.
Okay.
No.
All right. Hang on one second. It says share. Let's see. Entire screen. Application window. Chrome. Oh, no. Here we go. Share. Can you see that?
No, not yet. Not this side.
Okay. All right.
It's coming.
We can see that now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
This?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, great. So
Yeah.
here are some images. Maybe you can narrate for us what we're seeing, Abigail.
Okay. What we have there is a disused pit. It's a cement pit that was left initially by Engine, a giant mining company that operated in Chiadzwa. You pick it up when Billy talks about it. And that disused infrastructure is a kind of a death trap. You see, if you look closely, there is a young boy that is playing there. During the rainy season, that pit will be full of water and it's not protected. So it imposes harm and it's dangerous to the locals. Can you go to the next environmental picture? Okay. That one, I won't link it to the environment, but it's also a disused infrastructure that was left by the Engine when they left their operations. And you know, in Chiadzwa, they are in Zimbabwe as a whole. We have got a deficit of schools. We have a deficit of crèches, considering that these operations are within localities, within communities. You would wonder, why wouldn't that infrastructure be turned? Why not turn it into a crèche and make it useful? Yet we don't have crèches. But as they left, they just destroyed everything. And it's not sustainable anymore. What we have there is the supposed to be market. That's where you would say you are going shopping. And that's not sustainable infrastructure. And it's just haphazard. And it shows that the companies do not have commitment in infrastructural development. And it also impacts on the communities because there is no sustainability there. And that's where all the activities happen. And that is where we held our cleanup campaign. That photo was taken after the cleanup. You see the environment was quite bright and looking good. after we'd finished cleaning and picking litter around there. Okay. That is Abigail there in Odzi River. Right. What happens is effluent that is coming from the mining is going downstream through the Odzi River there. And that is impacting negatively on people downstream, the chemicals, the siltation. Diamonds goes with washing soil out of the gravel, whatever they mine, and it is damaging that water body, and it's not doing good to the community, and especially those people downstream. And remember, we don't have a very good potable water. People tend to just go straight into Odzi River, do washing, fetch water, do all the activities on the river banks and so forth. Oh, that one is a very sore sight. That one is a community water pump. If you hear Zimbabweans saying borehole, that's a borehole. That is supposed to service the community, but it has been left there because it is also within the concession. People have no access, and there hasn't been any replacement of similar boreholes, if any. So people have no access to potable water as such, and there is no commitment by the companies to kind of refurbish that infrastructure, the little that is there, so that people can have access to potable water. It's quite a cause of concern. You can see the gullies that are running alongside. That will be some drilling. Sometimes you see our photos that are coming ahead. There will be some prospecting that will have happened there, and the pits are left bare.
There's the pits.
There's the pits. Yeah, that's the drilling. And I'll tell you that drilling will happen even in the borders of in the fence of your compound, and they will just drill and leave it like that. And the drilling comes unannounced. There is no consent after that goes with it. That drilling can happen within the fields where you are doing your agriculture, and at the end of the day, food security is compromised. Actually, there isn't much farming activity that is happening now because of these people's farming arable land has been reduced. So it's so sad.
And who is doing the drilling? Like when you say they're doing the drilling, who is that?
The companies, of course.
The company.
The companies, of course. Yes, they'll come and drill for borehole for thing is prospecting, looking for the dam.
I'm not sure what this image is here.
Yes, that image is just showing general land degradation and reclaimed pits and gullies, which are posing a lot of damage to the environment at large, where we as the community expect that the companies, they have the equipment. Why not reclaim the land and maybe plant more trees or do something sustainable? During the rain, you'll see in the pictures that are coming, those are going to be padros. And that also is the road where you have to move, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And imagine what will happen during the rainy season. You cannot move from point A to B because it's all mud and water. You see that one there is a paddle, and you have livestock there. And reclaimed gullies will pose a danger to livestock. I had an image of a drowned cow. I don't know if it will come. That one was just at the edge of the paddle, right at the edge of the paddle, and it poses harm, or it's not good for our livestock.
We should talk about the baobab trees as well.
I'm very passionate about the baobab trees, very much so, Monica, because as I was growing up, the only porridge that I could tolerate was baobab porridge. And you see that plantation is all locked away. There are restrictions to movement, which my colleague Billion will talk about. Those baobabs, they are a source of livelihood to the community. So imagine what happens if you cannot wake up in the morning as a woman to make porridge for your child, and nutritious porridge, so to speak. And for women like me, I would want to get baobab oil. I hope ladies can get me a baobab oil there. I have some. You would want baobab oil to use. It comes from those trees. We have got the baobab coffee. It comes from those trees. And because of the mining activities, all that, everything has changed. Everything has changed.
So I'm going to get out of this now and stop sharing my screen. Thank you for kind of walking us through some of the environmental issues, but I think that there's also a lot of human rights issues that also came up at this first cleanup event. It was kind of the first time that people had gathered to actually express this. Is that correct?
Yes, true. They did speak out. They did express themselves, the women. And the key violations that we picked included the right to drinking water that has been violated. Women have to carry buckets here and go miles and miles to go and look for water for drinking. Whereas our Constitution, Section 77, gives everyone, it's enshrined that everyone should have access to clean drinking water. And the right to dignified shelter, that one, Billion will talk about it. The right to freedom of movement, which Billy will also speak into, as I've also touched a bit on it, that you can not access the common goods which are there in the community, like the baobab trees, to speak. And there is the right to privacy. You see those shelters at Tenda Marketplace, when they come to raid or to just do their random searches, they can just bump in there. And you are a woman, you are in there, it's a shelter baby that you're using, and someone just comes in there, and your whole dignity is destroyed, because you might never know in what position they come in there and find you, you see. And those are really serious issues, because it extends beyond that marketplace to the communities. Yeah. And then the right to privacy, I've talked about it, and human dignity, and then environmental rights, all which is enshrined in our National Constitution of 2013.
So for the event, you were did you have to work with local police or local authorities? How hard was that to organize the actual event, the first cleanup event?
Yeah. The laws here in Zimbabwe, you are expected to seek clearance from the police first before holding such an event, which we did. Initially, we were kind of disturbed by the lockdowns. It was in September, and we are still under level 4 lockdown. So we had to wait for 2 weeks until we got the restrictions lifted. And when the restrictions were lifted, we were granted permission by the Zimbabwe Republic Police to hold our event. And then we also invited the local, we also had to seek clearance from the local leadership, the traditional leadership, which will mean the headman, that's the one that is in charge of the locality. And in this case, we were in a village called Mangwiro under Chiadzwa. Like I told you earlier on, that we'll be staying in clusters. So we had a bit with the local leadership because there was kind of a friction. We thought that maybe we could just do it because we are women. But what later emerged is that we were suspected to be holding a political event. So initially, the first headman did not give us permission until Billy and Memory went up to speak to the next one in charge, Chiadzwa. Mangwiro did not give us permission. Then Billy and Memory went and spoke to Herman Chiadzwa, who later gave us permission. And that also impacted on the participation of women, because initially women had shunned to come to the event, fearing victimization, because once you go to gatherings that are labeled to be political, you are punished for that. So that also kind of delayed the kickoff of the event. And then later on, as the event started, we had a good visit from state security agents, who also came to check on us and to see what was transpiring. And it happened that Billy intercepted them and told them that this is an event for women's education on rights.
I can show some of the, sorry, I started to show from the events, so I will put those back up, and then Billy and Abigail can narrate those. So I'll put those back up again and let you all narrate it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go again. Sorry about that. Okay. Is everyone able to see that now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, can see.
All right, great. Here's the cleanup.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, that's the cleanup. What the activities there? Like I said earlier on, that we got support from Responsible Jewelry Transformation. The support included buying those cleaning materials, the brooms. I don't know whether you're familiar with that type of broom. The bags, the bean bags, the gloves, and so on. And we had to go right around the marketplace, sweeping and picking papers and making it a bit clean, and maybe to conscientize those people around that a clean environment is a safe environment.
Great. And here are the rights you already went through, so I'll continue. Let's talk about, can you tell us the importance of the head of the police here and what she does?
Thank you very much. She is the head in charge of the police station in the local area there in the part of Marange. When they were invited, when she heard that it's a women's event, she was so enthusiastic, and she pledged from there on that she will attend all the events that we are going to hold. And I'll tell you, when she came, it helped to demystify the preconceptions that the localities had, that it was a political event. And that helped us a lot. It reinforced the event, because more people then started to come in. More women The vendors, there were vendors who were running their stores there. They started to trickle in. And at the end of the event, there was quite a substantial number of women, and more women joined the group on that day, and they were registered. They shared their WhatsApp numbers, and they're registered onto the group.
Great. And this is what it looked like when you walked in, right? Nobody was coming. It was empty roads.
It was quite deserted, yeah. Those are images. Can you get that back a bit?
Yeah.
Get that back. Yes, you look at those women there. There's another group, and those that are at the back, of women who just came to join us and to listen. They got interested. One of them there shared a very sad story of a sexual harassment. And we were all almost in tears when she gave us a narration that at first she was raped. She's a rape victim. When she was raped by an uncle, a person whom they knew. And then her mother told her not to go and pursue the issue, you know, and the issue just didn't sail through. And every day in her life, she had to face her perpetrator until she decided to run. She ran away from home, went away, and got into prostitution. And she came back now because there's the diamond rush, and she's still into prostitution. And she was saying, now that you are saying these issues on sexual abuse and the codes that you're talking about, the law, she was kind of saying, I'm surprised that actually my rights were violated. I don't think I like this kind of life. Can you help me? That's when we started to engage with her and speak with her and try to assist her to move on. That was a group photo of the women.
And now we're at the breast cancer awareness event, the second event.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think Billy is going to tell us a little bit more about the second event. So the first event sounded very empowering, and now you're kind of building on your success. Billy, if you want to take it over.
Thank you, Monica. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are in. As Monica introduced me, I am Billy Matambo from Marange in Manicaland province in Zimbabwe in Africa. It's so unfortunate that we didn't start together with Susan. So let me go back, allow me to go back to basics. You know, all this time I was worried. I was kind of worried, thinking that, okay, Abigail is now speaking everything. What am I going to say now? But fortunately, I still have a few things that I can share. To start with, things haven't been okay for Marange women and children, beginning from 2007 when mining started. And in Marange, mining started with 7 companies which were mining in Marange, and up to 2016. And by then, women and children remains at the periphery of all the activities, and we were and we are still at the receiving end of all the negative impacts of mining. And during all these years up to now, as women, we have been fighting for the same battle, one woman on her own corner, but then the coming in of responsible jewelry transformative bring us together. Then we were given birth by responsible jewelry transformative as Marange Women's Alliance. That's where we come from. Then the objective of our existence was to amplify a unified voices of our concerns, because ever since from then, different players in the mining sector sector with different interests keep on stifling the women's voices. And the community, we are in a community where there is patriarchy and women have no access whatsoever. And I just want to thank this platform because I have that right to be heard, which is not common in Marange, the right to be heard. And let me go back to statistics of how Chiadzwa is. Like, let me take, for instance, only Chiadzwa, which is in Ward 30. In Chiadzwa, in terms of the populace or the population of Chiadzwa, we have 19 villages. And out of those 19 villages, there is each village comprises of almost 200 households. And when we talk of households, we talk of households of families, where there is a head and only one head of the family. Those are what we call households. And like overall, each in Chiadzwa, we have more than 3,400 households. And on average, each household comprise of seven family members. And I'm not counting those who come into the area. So I'm just trying to share from the women's perspective how life is in Chiadzwa. So with all that populace which is in Chiadzwa, we only have one clinic. And that one clinic, it always prescribe paracetamol for every disease because there's no drug. The drugs are very scarce there, and there's influx. And I didn't count the artisanal miners, those who stays in the mountains. I only count those who members of the community. So that one clinic has no ambulances, nothing whatsoever. And some women during labor, when they are pregnant, they have to walk like a distance of like 15 kilometers to get to the small clinic so that they can get medical attention. And now here is, or contrary to what is on the ground, here is we have Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Health is proposing that we want a 0% mortality, maternity mortality. In simpler terms, they are saying no women must die during labor time. So looking at what is on the ground and what Ministry of Health is saying from a women's perspective is their command is kind of void, because we look, there are no measures in place on the ground that enforce what they suggest that at the communities, or it's like the Ministry of Health say this is what they want, but there is no measures that can enforce or enhance the 0% maternity mortality on ground. And women suffer. And to us as women in the community, and looking at pregnant women, the infrastructure that we have is interlinked to such an extent that you want to move from, or you are transferred from Chiadzwa Clinic to the provincial hospital, which you can find about 150 kilometers away from Chiadzwa. That's the only provincial hospital that we have without an ambulance. Now you want to use another vehicle, and that other vehicle that you want to use to transport a pregnant woman to Mutare Provincial Hospital ought to from Murahwa building, which was also 150 kilometers away from Marange. So by so doing, women's lives continue to deteriorate. And if we could go, the Marange graves are rich with women and children, young kids, because of that situation that we are in. And then when we look at what we want as women, most of the players who are in the mining sector, they say, no, you don't have to say all these things, because that's how it is. And as women in the community, almost everyone as time goes on, began to normalize the abnormal, normalizing this situation which is abnormal, because we have stayed so many years in that situation. So this is what has been happening all this time. Women's voices have been stifled, and now when responsible jewelry transformative came in, the first step that we took was that of trying to teach all the women on their rights. And they assisted on that because, as you know, that there are other sayings, the saying which goes like, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And I always want to replicate this other philosopher who lived in the 20th century by the name of Albert Einstein. He once said, this world is not destroyed by the evil, but by those people who see evil happening and do nothing about it. So this is the scenario that we were in, because I can say we were in because I think we are coming out of it, because having our voice was the greatest achievement ever. Having our voice, as I am here, I feel so happy because I have that right to be heard, which we didn't have all these years. So because of that, most women shun away from reporting any cases that are happening within the mining sector. It's as if we have become an exact replica of Animal Farm, where we say all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Why am I saying that? Because when you look at what our constitution says, our 2013 constitution, in terms of women's rights, children's rights, they are there in black and white, but there's no one to enforce those constitutional rights to the people of Marange, to the women of Marange. As Abigail have been illustrating with those lies, you know, those environmental degradation have claimed more children lives in Marange than ever, because the mining are leaving everything like that, and then the women and children are at the receiving end, and the government is there, but it's doing nothing because it's protecting it. It's protecting the diamonds, only the diamonds, not the people, which become vice versa, which is important now. The resource of the people is important between the two. So in 20
Billy, I'd love to touch. We're kind of getting a little close to our end time. I just want to touch on the fact that you recently had a protest, and some of your community were actually arrested during this protest. So I just want to show the arc of, you've organized, you had a couple of events where you got community support, and now do you think that the arrests have had any effect, or are they, is it an indication that the local government is not as amenable to you organizing and meeting? I just wonder, what's the status of the arrests and the recent protests?
Oh, thank you, Monica. I was going there now. I was getting there. Like I wanted to, I don't know if you still have that slide. I wanted to link what the UN declaration says on indigenous people, linking it with the recent events of the Chiatwa people versus Anjin. Like Anjin did stop mining in 2016. Then in 2019, they crawled their way back without the consent, without seeking consultation from the community, without an EI. Everything was privatized. But the people are at the receiving end now of the negative impacts of mining. Not only the people, let's look at the government itself. Anjin was one of the most companies with highest human rights violation previously. And it makes us wonder, how then does it get, did they get the license to come back when the community weren't even consulted, when there's no benefit sharing, when there's nothing? So when the people of the locals when they try to be it, because demonstrating is our constitutional right. So you take your right, you exercise your right, you get arrested for exercising your constitutional right. So it becomes like the arrest is a weaponized way of stopping the community from speaking out, is a way of silencing the community. Taking for
We're kind of losing you a little bit, Billy.
There.
I wanted to make sure that we, oh no, we lost our connection. I wanted to make sure that we are ending
but
on a note.
Restriction order to stay 100 meters his own land where he said to be the custodian, and you are given the government which is supposed to be protecting the indigenous people is giving a restriction order to the village head. And as the village head got arrested and other local leaders, then imagine how women would be treated, putting into consideration the patriarchal culture that we are in. We live in the patriarchal culture whereby men are said to be those who are supposed to have the voices. But when their voices are silenced, you can imagine what a woman will do, because she has to follow her man or the husband and the whole everything. And instead of us trying to address the causes that caused the demonstrations, the government is there, or contrary, trying to silence the people, trying to silence the locals, which is so bad to us, because after being silenced, you go nowhere, you have nowhere to report to.
Exactly.
And you have nowhere to say, no, these guys need to be accountable. We have nowhere to say, like, we need to have benefit sharing. And in terms of women, we talk of that women must benefit to the 12 billion the 2023 vision. There's nothing, the ground is not level for that. And we can't expect it to benefit anything when we don't address these issues, and when you don't go to the drawing board to address what caused the demonstration. Because it's not like it's the first time whereby the communities try to demonstrate. In 2019, we did another demonstration, and it was between Chiazwa community and ZCDC. But still, the companies are still playing hide and seek with the people, and the women are always at the receiving end of negative impacts of mining.
So I want to make sure that we go into how we can help you, because clearly the first step has been organizing and being able to communicate within your own community. But I want to make sure and emphasize that there is an entire jewelry community that cares about you, that cares about the women of Marange and your rights, and how do we support you. So we talked about a couple of ways, and engaging on social media is really valuable, because we can amplify your voices. I know that you're on Twitter, Billion, and CRJC, the Chicago conference, is on Twitter and Instagram. So I urge everyone here to actually follow these aliases on Twitter and Instagram, and follow along on these feeds, because as things happen, like this is how I was aware that there were the arrests, for instance, the recent protest against Anjan. So we need to further amplify these voices. Also, there's a lot of organizations and companies out there that represent the diamond industry. So things like World Diamond Council, RJC, Responsible Jewelry Council. We have these opportunities, the Natural Diamond Council. A lot of these organizations are out there talking about diamond issues, but no one is talking about this. And so we need to utilize our own networks and our own colleagues who might be in these organizations and companies, and make sure that we are making them aware and making sure that they understand kind of the full extent of the issues, including a lot of gender-based violence, and a lot of violations against children and women specifically in these communities. We need to make the world aware. And then a couple of times people have alluded to the fact that, you know, if women are arrested as part of this, or if they
we lost it.
Oh, Monica, I think you're frozen now. Monica's lost connection. So yes, I think that Monica had gone over, you know, some of the things that you can do. And,
thank you, Monica.
Yes.
Thank you.
have her
And
get back
to
on.
say the least, the greatest gift that we have received from this platform is the gift of having a voice. That gift is the greatest gift ever that we get as the people of Marange, or as the women of Marange. And because of that, the other thing that we are teaching our people, the women of Marange, is citizen journalism. Because in Africa, anything that is not documented, that thing never happened, or that incident never happened. So we are teaching our women to document first-hand information, evidence-based. And because of that experience, we are trying to capture everything, all those inequalities which are happening within the mining sector. And when we capture everything, we are on a better informed position to evaluate what's going on within our area. Because when everyone denies it because they say that thing never happened. But from a community's perspective, citizen journalists are not limited, are not governed by any law. They are not governed by the laws of the companies or the laws of politics. So they can report whatever which is happening. So this is the other empowerment which we are giving to our women so that we can stand up. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you and Abigail for showing up and for showing out. You have organized, you have done the first step in organizing, and now I hope we can help connect you to resources within the entire jewelry community. We so appreciate you coming and speaking and letting us know the depth of kind of what's happening on the ground there. These diamonds are in our supply chain. I just want to make sure that people understand that these diamonds coming from this region are certified conflict-free, and it's encouraging that the Kimberley process plenary opened with the civil society saying, "I see you. We see these abuses, and we see some of these things happening." And they specifically talked about Marange. So we need to keep pressure on the industry. We need to keep working on this. We need to keep supporting you. And really, we're here. We will help support you where we can. And thank you for coming, for speaking, and we'll be here. We are here with you.